Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cloud-Based Mayhem. I got a great show for you today with Marcella Uchoa. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but she was the gal down in Brazil. She's Brazilian who broke the female world record distance last October on the 25th. Went almost 415K, and she was flying with Rafael Saldini and the boys down there that set the world record 3 years ago, I guess now. So Brazil is a hotbed of huge flights. This was not a particularly great day, but she went very far. Of course, she's going to be pressing on the gas again this year to hopefully go farther. But yeah, this was a tough day, a lot of blue, pretty slow day, but still kind of stuck with it. And we hear all about that story. The magazines have been saying a lot of like 0 to hero because she hasn't been at the game very long, but she has been at the game for 9 years. That's not very short either, but got really seriously into it about 4 years ago. So we talked about her progression and mentors and how she got into it and how she's chasing it, and she's doing really well in comps. So super inspiring, and it was fun to hear about her stories about flying in the Sertao, which is a pretty serious place. You have all seen, I'm sure, the launch videos of Quixada and Patu and some of the other places. This was done off a tow, and which is definitely seems like to be the way to go down there. The Swiss teams and stuff have been doing these huge flights out of Keiko from towing. So yeah, fun story. I think you're going to enjoy it. Before we get into it, the one little bit of housekeeping I have is we have finished this transition that I've been talking about in the last few shows to have our own subscription service through the website, cloudbasedmayhem.com. Those of you who support the show on Patreon, if you like that platform, I like that platform. It totally works for me, and actually the fees are the best there. So if you like it, stick with it. Stay there. If you're in a country where you're getting slammed with a lot of VAT or something else, come on over to ours. It's just a straight credit card charge, and do it through there. The rewards will all be the same. What this gives you access to is all the bonus content, little pieces of when I have these talks, we often cut stuff out. We put those back in the bonus content for the Ask Me Anything shows, like with myself and Bill Belcourt and others. We're going to be doing more and more and more of those, especially after the X-Alps. It'll be a little tricky to do it before then, but all the kind of bonus content is available to all of our subscribers. Subscribers mean you support the show in some way. But what that doesn't mean is that you're being locked out because of money. I realize a lot of people can't afford to support the show, and I totally get it. There are many other ways to support it. And as I say over and over again, you can share it with your friends. You can talk about it on the way up to launch. But if you have subscribed to our newsletter, if you've bought anything through our store, basically if you've had any contact with the website at all, you should be all set up as a subscriber. I've done that all manually. I've taken our whole database. I've made you all subscribers, and so you ought to be able to log in and get access to that bonus content, even if you don't support us financially. The hope is that someday you'll be in a position to do so, and you can do so and become a financial supporter, because that's how this all happens. Instead of having all those sponsor stuff in the beginning of the show, you get to hear me, which is hopefully okay. But yeah, anyway, that's all been done. As always, I so much appreciate the support. Thanks for hanging with us, and thanks for enjoying these, and thanks for all your emails. Got some more great shows coming up. The next one, which will be very close to the start of the X-Alps, will be with Patrick Von Cannell. He's Kriegel is his mentor. Very talented pilot in his mid-20s. He's competing as a rookie for the first time, so we talk about that. Another fantastic one. And I have a few others on, and we've got a bunch of great shows coming up from around the world. Fantastic folks who know a lot about this sport, so I think you're going to enjoy it. So, yeah, by the time this lands, I will be on a plane going to Europe. The race is getting pretty close, so that's super exciting. And in the meantime, enjoy this show with Marcella Uchoa. Marcella, awesome to have you on the show. I really appreciate it. I became an Instagram follower of yours a few weeks back, and I was watching you in the Nationals, and of course watched your big flight this last, I think, October 25th. Congratulations on breaking the the world record. We are definitely going to get into that. I have a special attraction to the Sertao. I was down there a couple years ago flying with Rafael and those guys, trying the Tacima thing, which was like the hardest patience game of my life. I have a lot of respect for that place. It's not just like flying over. I think people, understand those big flights is just flying downwind over the flatlands and it's no big deal. But the Sertao is very real terrain. So I can't wait to talk to you about that. But where I thought we'd start is with the nationals that just happened. I was following your pics and stuff, which were beautiful and looked like a cool place to fly. I've only flown the Sertao down there, but how did the nationals go? And hi and welcome.
Hi, Gavin. First, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be talking to you. I always have been listening to your podcasts and being in one. It's such an honor. So thank you. And about the nationals now, it was in Governador Valadares in Minas Gerais. It's a very nice place to fly. I had flown there like only one time, so I have never competed there. It was my first time competing there. The conditions were good, but not like epic, how is usually there, but was very good for computing. Like we have 6 tasks out of 7, right? So
wow, great. God, Brazil's awesome. To get 6 out of 7, and that's just okay.
Yes. It was nice tests. I mean, not so long, like 60. I have one of 80, I guess, and the other 70 or something. But was some of the tests were very technical because the conditions were not so great. So like we had the cloud-based low and some days with overcast. So I learned a lot, and I love to fly in competitions. I love to compete. I think it's one of the best places to learn, to evolve ourselves, like to watch the top pilots and do it the same, And for my results, I was first women. We also got the first team. And overall, I was 27. I was pretty good in the first days. Like I thought that I would get like between top 10, but I still have a lot to work on it, like my end game and like the last thermal to go. But I'm happy with my result because it was like the first comp that I feel like 100% comfortable with my Enzo. Like I'm full speed and really comfortable. So I think I will improve this year. It's going to be a better year than last year since it's my second year with Enzo. So it's a good thing.
What size are you flying on the Enzo?
S.
Okay, so
small size.
Where are you trying to get? I'm assuming you're using a lot of ballast then, because I flew the small Enzo last year for a period of time when Nivik didn't have a race wing ready. What are you trying to fly it at?
Yeah, I mean, when I started to fly, I used to carry like a lot of ballast, so I gained weight. So I didn't have to carry that much. So now I'm carrying like only 8 kilos, which is still a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's okay. So I fly with like 97, 98.
Okay, so you're up, but not quite at the top, but you're trying to be kind of the top third. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
cool.
I fly kind of light, but I like it this way. I mean, I tried like to fly heavier, but I didn't like too much.
Just you didn't like the feeling on the ground, or you didn't like it in the air as well?
No, in the air, because I think the wing is like it's how can I say, like it's more stiff, but it doesn't let you know too much about what's happening. So when you are lighter, it moves more, but I mean, it warns you more, if it's going to have a collapse or anything. I think it's the feeling's better, like the feeling in your hands.
Interesting. Yeah, I only really ever flew it right at the top, so I probably should have played around with that a little bit more.
Yeah, you should.
And what wing did you come from before you came to the Enzo?
I had a Zeno before. The first time that I went to Sertao, I was with a Zeno. I flew like 150 hours with Zeno before moving to Enzo. And before Zeno, I had an M6, and from M6, I wanted to get an Enzo. So I talked to Rafael Saldini, which is like one big friend, and like I don't need to tell who he is, right?
No, he's bigger than life. Rafael is amazing.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast. He was awesome. I need to get him back.
Yeah, I heard it. And I mean, he always helped me a lot, with questions and everything about flying. And like he suggests me would be better to fly with Zeno first, like an introduction to a two-liner, and then move to an Enzo. So I'm very happy that I heard that I listened to him, because I think it was like the perfect steps to getting CCC wing,
Yeah. So before we get into your big flight, let's give the listeners a little bit of background on your history, because this was new to me. I found this out before we started recording, but they had this whole, they've had this whole kind of like zero to hero thing when they wrote you up about your 411K record this fall in spring, I guess for you, but and it was but you've actually been flying for quite a while. You just weren't you were going to school, is that correct? So you started flying like 9 years ago.
Yeah, I started flying in 2010, but at the time I was in college, so I didn't have much time to fly. And then I started a master's degree, and it was only when I finished this master's in 2015, I finished. So in 2016, I started to focus really on flying. So I was like dedicating a lot to it, and I think it's when I started to see the results. And at that time, I was flying like Skywalk Chile,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was a really good wing for learning, like because you don't need to focus on the wing. You can focus on the conditions and everything. So I started competing with the Chile. I mean, even before that, my first nationals, I was with a Elus, like it's a B wing from Sol Paragliders, and I only like did all the days I landed like in the foot of the hill,
Just straight down.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even make the start, I guess. But I mean, it was really good, to learn. And I mean, when you are with the good pilots, it's when you are learning, I think so,
What was the catalyst why did you learn to paraglide? What was the reason? What got you into it?
I did a skydiving tandem, and I love it. So in 2009, and when I came back to my hometown, I was obsessed with it. I wanted to take a course and everything, and it was so expensive, the skydiving. And I mean, I would have to pay each jump and everything. And in my city, in my hometown, at that time, there was no woman flying. And I knew the guys from the paragliding school. And they said, oh, there's no woman fly. If you want to fly, we can teach you for free. I said, oh, no way. So, yes, I wanted.
Wow.
And like when the very first time I took off my feet from the ground, I was like completely in love, when I landed, I looked to the takeoff and like the little persons there. And I looked there and I was, oh my God, I came flying from there to here. I came flying, I couldn't believe it. I was crying and laughing at the same time, like too much happiness. So yeah, I fell in love. It was love at the first sight. The first flight.
My first XC was like 6K from in the Dominican Republic. I was starting this big, around the world sailing adventure back then, and I had just gotten kind of hooked on paragliding and gotten my P2, but I hadn't really, I didn't even really know XC. I didn't know what that was really back then when I first learned, and so I did this like first little 6K flight, and I was just, oh my God, the people in the car must have been so annoyed with me. So I just flew from there to there.
Yeah, I think like the people in the car, like every big flight or good flight that we do, and when we come back and they don't get it, right? They're like, oh, these people are crazy.
So, okay, so it's love at first sight. Take us through, just, give us the short version of how did you go from, spring chicken? Obviously, you're getting your master's, so you weren't able to dedicate that much time really to it until 2015, it sounds like. But, how did you go from bug to, breaking the world record?
So even though that I didn't fly that much, I always dreamed about the world record. Like,
you did?
since my first year, like I met Camila, one Brazilian girl that had the record that time in 2010, and there was a PWC in my city in 2010. So like I met all these great top pilots of the world. And I also met her, who is a Brazilian, and she had the record. And I said, oh my God, that's so cool. One day I want to be the girl that flew the most in the world, But it was just like a dream, a distant dream. And like I had my college and then master's. So it's like the dream kept in the box,
Yeah. And what were you studying? Just to sorry to break in, but what did you get your master's in?
My master's, I got a scholarship to do it overseas, so I did it in Europe, and it was like a special kind of program, Erasmus Mundus it's called, and it's like 6 months in each country. So I started in France, and then I went to Spain, and then Belgium. And then my thesis, I could choose anywhere in the world that I wanted to develop it. And my second great passions are sharks. I love sharks. And I did my thesis about sharks in Bahamas. So it was like a dreaming come true,
That's interesting, because when I Googled you and started doing a little bit of research, all kinds of pictures of sharks came up. So now I understand why.
Yeah.
So are you marine biologist?
Yes, marine biologist.
Oh, okay. Oh, fantastic. Okay, cool. Well, carry on with your story of progression. I wanted to find out what you studied.
So, and then when I finished the master's, I came back to Brazil. I was going to start a PhD. But I thought to myself, if I start a PhD, I won't have time at all to fly, And I thought this is the time to do what I want and what I really dream and what so I went to ask my father for help, like if he could help me out for a couple of years to see if this paragliding thing would get me anywhere. And he said, yes, for sure, I can help you. And so in 2016, I really started to dedicating. Like I changed it from Chile to M6. Actually, I first I got Cayenne, as Cayenne
Mm-hmm.
5,
Mm-hmm.
but I stayed with it. I flew only like 20 hours because I lost some weight and I had to change the wing, and like all C wings in the small size were homologated D. So if I said, okay, so I'm going to get a D and I'm going to get an M6. So, and then was when I really like started and understood to fly and cross country. I mean, with Chile, I did many great flights. I did many of 90, 99, but not 100.
I need another wing. I got to get to 100.
It was like crazy. I had so many flights of 90, but I couldn't make 100. But then with M6, I flew a lot. I mean, I think it's one of the wings I flew the most. And I had like a friend help me out, like flying together. So I think we improved a lot, like flying together and changing experiences, and always trying to joining the most competitions that I could. Because like I told you, I think it's where you learn the most, Even for XC's flights, I think you learn a lot in competitions because you are watching the top pilots and you are learning to fly fast.
Sure.
So I think it's perfect for your like pilot evolution,
Yeah, for sure.
And then after that, I went to talk with Rafael about I wanted to get a CCC wing, and he told me about the Zeno, that I should go slowly so I don't like scare myself or anything like that. And I told him that I really wanted to go to Sertao. And he said, I don't think it's a good idea to go to the first time to Sertao with the CCC wing in your first year, So it was really good advice. I was kind of crazy, I guess. So I got the Zeno and I flew a lot. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to lots of competitions, including two PWCs, one here near my hometown in Andradas in 2017. And then I went to the Sertão for the first time with my friend, with two friends. And we were flying first in Quixadá, and then we went to Patu. And in that year, in Patu, I flew like 362, which was the Brazilian female record. So I was like so into the world record that I didn't even know like which one was the Brazilian record, female record,
Yeah.
Because when I landed, I was like my phone was like with million messages. Oh my God, I was what these people are talking about. I didn't break any record, because I was so into it, like 402, the Seiko record. So, but I mean, it was a great first year to Sertão. I learned a lot. I learned my main focus was to fly the whole window, like to fly from dawn to dusk, and I mean, not caring about the kilometers,
Sure.
only to be able to fly the whole day, which is difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the special thing about that place is it starts working literally almost before the sun comes up. It's just like instantly. I wouldn't say on. In my experience at Tacima, one was this unbelievable, just incredible how patient you had to be. Those guys when they did the big record, I think it was 2 flights in 39 days, and
Yeah.
There are much more special places in the world than Tacima, Brazil.
Yeah.
If you go out there at 5:30 and get set up and you don't make it over that first plateau, which was, really hard to do because base is basically right on the dirt and that early in the morning and it's blowing, it's like everybody sees the videos in Kishida, it's blowing hard. And, if you don't make it over that, you go back to the hotel at 8 a.m. and you
Yeah.
sit there all
Yeah.
day. There's nothing to
And
do.
look at the clouds, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and those guys, Rafael and Samuel and those guys, one day, they just knew that they weren't on pace, for a really big, so they just went and landed and went back. And it was still, it was a decent day, but I just thought, man, these guys are dedicated to this. It's a hard game. I would call it type 2 fun for sure. Well, so explain to
Yeah,
folks
I
that.
think it's like, it's not even fun. It's like a mission.
Yeah, I would
like,
agree. It's not really that fun. Yeah,
yes.
I had a lot more fun when I moved. I had a nice flight from Tacima to Kishida, and then I just stayed in Kishida the rest of the time because I was over it. I'd spent like 11 or 12 days in Tacima, and it was like, ugh. In Kishida, at least there's a hotel, and I don't know. There's people around that you can talk to. So, a lot of people have seen the launch videos at Kishida, and it looks pretty serious. Patu, I never flew Patu, but I understand it's kind of the same, if maybe not trickier. When you first went there, were you pretty reticent? Were you pretty nervous? Because it's a little serious.
Yes, I was like really nervous. So I mean, I decided to go, but when I got there and I saw like people taking it off, I was like, oh my god, what am I doing here? It's like I want to go home. And like in the very first day that I was going to fly, like the first day we arrived late, so we went to the takeoff only to watch. And okay, I got scared because the takeoffs were, and especially when it's later, it's worse,
Yeah.
So I went to the hotel, like, think, oh my god, what I'm doing here. And like the next day that I was supposed to fly, a guy died, like in Kishida. Like it was like the second person to die there. And unfortunately, I was there, like, when it happened. So I was like pretty scared and like watching the helicopters coming and rescuing the guy. And then after knowing that he was really dead, was like horrible. I really thought about going back home. So I didn't fly like for 5 days, it really affect me. I mean, even though that I didn't know the guy, I was like pretty scared, and I didn't tell my parents because I knew that they would like freak out. And like 2 or 3 days later, my dad calls me like really pissed off, and like he worked with the guy one time, and he got the news about the guy that he was flying Kishada and crashed. And my dad was like really mad at me for not telling him. And my mom was like, oh my God, I will give you anything in the world. So just come home, don't fly there. And I was like with the pressure of my parents and I was scared. But I said, no, I came to do this and I'm going to do it. I know that I'm prepared to do it. I have been preparing for it like the whole year, like the whole 2 years. And I was so looking forward to it. So I'm going to do it, So the first flight was like really, I was really nervous before taking off. And it's like you get there and the guy stays on the top of the takeoff and he tells you when to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy.
Incredibly intimidating. My first time I went to Kishida, and it was just a normal day. It wasn't violent or bad. It was perfect. But golly, man, you stand on the top there with 50 other people and everybody's
Yeah,
watching, and it is
watching you.
windy. And
Yeah,
man, it was like, and you can just see, you can kind of visualize in your head, like, man, if I screw up and get towed into you can get towed into where that guy died, or you go over the back, or, I mean, man, it's
yeah,
just like, oh, it's intense.
yeah. Yeah, it's very intense. I mean, you have to get like the mind like in the right place.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I mean, it's really hard. But then, this first day I took off was really good. Like the conditions were not like crazy, and I took off really, really early. Like that was like my main goal. Like in Quixadá, I wouldn't take off after 7, not at all.
Yeah.
Like always like 6:30 maximum, like 6:30 I was in the air. I didn't care because you could take off nicely. I mean, for there,
Yeah.
And the first time I was, and it's in that time it's soft. I mean, it's not turbulent, right? I mean, the wind is strong, but there are no much thermals yet, so it's calm, So I went just doing like a lift and a big rock,
Yeah.
and it was calm, So I was like getting into it and relaxing. So I think it's very good, like if you take off early there, because it gives you time to understand the condition and to be more relaxed to start the flight, because you need to wait until like 7:30, 8 a.m. So the cloud base, it's high enough so you can go back to the takeoff, right?
Mm.
So I think this 1 hour flying there in front of the rock, just feeling the conditions and feeling the lines where it sinks and how it is, and I think it's very good, so you can start a good flight. So, but from Quixadá, I only did like 2 good flights, I guess, one of 200 and another one 240. And then I have an accident there in the takeoff.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk too much, and I didn't post my video, because I mean, I don't like to post like collapses and this type of things, because like this things go like spread so fast.
Yeah.
And the good things don't, right?
Right. Yeah,
So,
everybody perceives paragliding badly enough as it is. We don't need to help.
yes, sure. So, but I mean, it was been like, I don't know, like 2 weeks I was there. I was already comfortable, and I think like this about the takeoff, that the guy tells you when to take off. It's good, but at the same time, it's not good. But I mean, because I got to the point that I wasn't even looked to the wind, I wasn't even, like analyzing the conditions. So I only just get in the line and take off,
Mm.
And this day was pretty strong, was really strong, and was kind of crosswards. The wind was a little bit from the side, which is, I mean, now that I think, if I would realize that at the time, I wouldn't take off, But like I told you, I was not even looking too much at the conditions. I was so automatic, like waking up really early and before the lines get so big there. So I had like only 3 guys in front of me, I guess, 2 or 3. And they took so long to take off because there were no like lows. The winds were so high, like so strong, that there were no windows to take off, and like it was getting late and later. And when it was my turn, I sat there like for almost 20 minutes. So to get a low.
Something's
so
wrong.
At this time, yeah. I mean, now that I see it this way. But I was so I don't know, blinded and wanted to fly that I didn't care, But I mean, it was too strong. And when I took off, I got like a big collapse from left side, from where the wind was coming,
Mm-hmm.
Because I left a little loose the line. It was my mistake, because I watched it like 100 times, the video, and it was my mistake. But anyway, I got like this big collapse, and my wing like shoots like spinning. And I like, when I watch, I'm like coming back to the takeoff, like in front, And and my wing was still closed, like half of it, and I couldn't like hold too much the other side, because otherwise I would stall it.
Yeah.
So I held it as much as I could, and I just crashed it on the takeoff. I was very, very lucky, because I crashed it just like beside a rock. And this was like in my mind for weeks, that I was very lucky, and I didn't hurt. I mean, I was hurting. I went to the hospital in that night because I had my back hurting a lot, and I was worried that I really had hurt something. But luckily, I didn't hurt. It was just the pain from the impact. So I stayed 1 week without flying. And then I decided to go to Patu. I asked my friend, I said, I don't want to fly here anymore. I'm not comfortable. But anyway, let's try another place. And then we went to Patu. And that was like the best thing I did. Because I really prefer the takeoff. It's much safer. And because, I mean, it has like a plateau, So even if you fly backwards, you have more space to accelerate and escape from the hill,
Yep.
Because Quixadá is too, how can I explain? It's too like a peak,
Yeah.
If you fly a little bit backwards, you are right in the lee side, right?
Yep. Yeah. It drops immediately off on the backside.
Yes, and in Patu you have more space to accelerate and see, and more like alternative ways to escape the lee side, So I got more comfortable there, and there was no many people, like 100 people watching you. We're only like 5 pilots or so, so it was really good in that way, I guess. And
just less pressure, less stress.
Yes, and I also like the route better, because you can escape the little hills, and you can go like almost flat in the morning, like when the wind is stronger, So I felt safer there, and I did good flights in the beginning, and then on almost the end of the expedition, I did this 362 flight. Like we flew the whole day,
and that was the women's record at the time.
Yeah, the Brazilian. Yeah,
Brazilian, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of planted the seed for 2018. You left on a really good note. Nice last flight.
Yeah. I didn't want to leave. I was like, oh my God, I'm so close to 400. I want to stay. But I had to leave, and I didn't have money anymore. So, I mean, I spent like 1 month in Sertao. So
did Seiko have the record at that time? Was it her record out of Australia? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was her. I guess in that year, Joanna did a flight of 400.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that year or the year before.
She was
I don't know.
1 or 2K short or something from the.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think she flew like 400, like point zero 2 kilometers from the record.
Yeah. We talked about that with her on the podcast, and then I think she went back the next year. She was there the year I was there. She got there right after I left, and but unfortunately didn't quite get it that year. So, well, it's so cool that you guys are chasing this. So okay, so the seed is planted. Is that kind of all you thought about for the next 11 months? Was going back?
Yeah, almost, because I got home and I was like, oh my God, I need to go somewhere. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to Texas. I don't want to wait 11 months.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, when I went down there, I was fascinated with Tassima and watching those guys when they did the big flight. And then I got there and I just thought, man, it's a really different mindset. It is not, I wouldn't classify it as fun at all.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, it looked to me like when I was there that there were a lot of big flights going out of Patu. And, when I finally did hook into some good days, I had one from Tassima and then several from Kishida, and it was really fun. But at the same time, I mean, these long drives back all night and just getting up super early, which I don't mind at all. But it was you really have to dedicate yourself to this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and 1 month doing that, it's like at the end you're like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore.
Exhausting. Oh, you can't.
Yeah.
You're exhausting. I mean, Rafael was telling me that he was having to call his wife, and it almost sounded like like she's talking him out of suicide at times, which, just, I mean, they sat there for 39 days in Tassima and flew twice. That is brutal. I mean, there's nothing to do in that town. There's nowhere to go. There's not really any food.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like you're
tough.
sitting in the hotel in the air condition and waiting for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
You just wait, and the weather forecasts mean nothing, so every day, quote unquote, looks better than the last time. And most of the time you go out there and it's raining, it's not even flyable. You just go out, oh, this doesn't work. Go back to the hotel. It's awful.
Yeah, it's like a super mission, right?
Yeah, it's a mission. It's definitely type too fun. So between 2017 and 2018, when you go back, well, you know what? Actually, I wanted to ask you first about your dad. So I just became a dad about a year and a half ago. And, the thought of supporting my daughter to go paragliding is something I hope I figure out how to do. But like right now, when I look at this little person and I understand, when you have a child, your whole concept of love really changes. You're just like, oh my God, this is, you just, I didn't know what love was until I had a daughter. But knowing the risks and knowing how dangerous this sport can be, I definitely believe that it can be done safely, and we don't have to, expect to crash. Because I'm surrounded by mentors and really good pilots who never have. So clearly, that can be done with the right training and the right approach to risk. But something we talk about on the podcast all the time. But man, I don't know if I could support my daughter to go paragliding. What is the relationship with your dad, and how did does he understand the risks? Because it sounds like that was a big move to get his support.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started flying, my mom was like the biggest problem. Like, my dad was supporting. I mean, not that much, but I mean, he would understand. But my mom was like crazy. She would like really like trying to convince me to give up. It's like I told you, she would like go like, oh my God, I will do anything. I'll give you anything you want, name it. Just stop doing it. Just stop flying. And I said, I mean, it's I love it. It's like the biggest passion, love of my life. I love flying. It's like I can't live without it, you know. So yeah, so I think they had to like to get used to the idea of me flying, you know. And I think it was like very difficult to them because no one flies here. So my family, my mom is really, she doesn't even go like in a roller coaster, you know. She's like scared of everything. So I don't know where I got the courage, because my dad is also like, he doesn't like none of this kind of stuff. So it was pretty like different for them, you know. But nowadays they are really supported, you know. They like when I'm in competitions, they watch the live, and it's so cool. Like when I landed, like I have like 10 messages of my father, like, "Oh, go! You are in 10. You are," in... and he goes like he print screen, you know, and send me like. So they changed it a lot, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
So they got used to it. I mean, there was no other choice, you know. I think if your daughter wants to fly, you cannot do much. If she really wants to do it, I mean, you cannot hold her back, you know.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, so okay, so you go back home. It sounds like you have another kind of big year of training and comps and that kind of thing. You've obviously got the Sertao in the back of your mind, and maybe other places, Australia and Texas and stuff. But so was it? Obviously, that was the plan. Go back there and break the world record. So
Yes.
let's take us back there.
Should I tell you about my year, like 2018? Yeah, because it's when I changed the wing, like from Zeno to Enzo. And it was the year that I went to the most competitions. Like I went to the super final in Colombia, still with my Zeno in January, which, I mean, this was the most like incredible competition I ever have been to it. Like I couldn't believe the level, you know.
The speed at the super finals, just a whole other notch up. Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's like, it's really cool because it opens your eyes, you know. It's like, oh my God, people are flying this level, you know. Because only when you were only like in regional and national comps, like you don't have this idea then how good the pilots can be, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was really amazing. And then I went to like lots of PWCs, PWC in Baixo Guandu, and then I went to Bulgaria, Turkey, and I think in Turkey was like the best place, like a preparation for the Sertao, because it was like a desert, and it was really, really strong. I gotta say, I mean, I think it's even stronger than Sertao.
Yeah, that did look like a strong comp.
Yeah, because there was no much wind, so like the thermals were crazy strong and like not very organized. Because I think when the wind helps like to organize the thermals, you know. And it was kind of chaotic, you know, in Turkey.
Yeah.
So it was like a comp, like I learned a lot. So I think it was a good preparation for Sertao. And I was talking with the guys, and I had like the great opportunity to go to Sertao with the best pilots, with the best team. I went with Rafael Saldini, with the team that is
that broke the record.
World record. Yeah. Rafael Saldini, Samuel Nascimento, Frank Brown, and Marcelo Prieto. So I was like with the best pilots in the world.
That is a real gift. You're with the A team.
Yeah. So it was just perfect. We went first to Pato, me, Rafael, and Samuel. just to train me to fly as a group, like, because it's very different when you're flying in a group and than flying by yourself, like sometimes you have to wait, or sometimes you have to go lower to keep up with the guys. So
yeah, you know what? Let's spend a couple minutes talking about the tactics of that, because we all had a really cool time last summer at nationals here in the U.S. in flying with Donizete, who spent a lot of
yes.
time flying with those guys over all those years, and
Mm-hmm.
he taught us a lot about team flying, and that was just something we didn't know anything about, understand. I mean, I think we kind of understood the theory of it, but we were terrible at it until,
Mm-hmm.
flying with him a little bit. And he really helped us understand, that staying at the same altitude, and, that if
Yeah.
the guys that were high left, the guy that was low would have to push out. And it was really interesting how they've developed this tactic, and how, it really munches kilometers, if you do it well, it's just so much faster.
Yeah, I mean, it's like in the competition, I mean, if you're flying the gaggle is always more effective than flying by yourself, right?
Sure.
So it's like similar ideas, but it's different because in the competition, you are competing with the guys, right? But when you are flying the team, you are flying together, not competing to each other. So I think when I first saw them flying together, was like, oh my God, because it's very different from what we are usually to see. I mean, they would go like, if there was one guy that was lower, one of the guys that was higher would spiral down and go help the guy to climb, So they would climb together. So they would climb faster. But it was just crazy to saw like one spiral down to help another, So it's like really helping each other. You can't think only about yourself. It's the whole group. It's like Rafael Saldini says. It's like a huge organism, and each one it's a cell, and we have to move all together. So in order to work properly, right?
Fascinating.
But
it's terrific.
Yeah, it's really, really cool to watch them flying. I mean, I learned a lot with them, and it was just perfect. And then we finished in Patu. We did good flights there. Actually, there was one flight that that was a crazy flight, because every day I would declare 377 kilometers because I like 7. Seriously. And then this day I go, okay, I'm going to declare 380. So we went flying, and like we flew like 10 hours and 40 minutes, like almost 11 hours. And when we passed above the 377, I wanted to kill myself. I said, oh my God, why did I change it? Because we were low, and it was only me and Rafael Saldini in his wing, and it's XL, right?
Yeah.
And it's
different,
like in the end, yeah, it's like a sail plan. And we're like in the end of the afternoon and just gliding, the last glide. And I was, oh my God, we're not gonna get it. And it's like 307, 8, and getting lower. And there was like a little hill, and there was kind of trees and everything, so no landing spots. And the point was like just above this little hill. I was so stupid because I didn't check where did I put the point. So yeah. Oh my God. So I was going. No, it's not gonna happen. So I turned it and landed safely in the little village that there was. And Rafael went like just with the glide that he had. He went like, and he did it 380, like right on that, right on the, I put the waypoint. It was like, I was so frustrated. I was, oh my God, only 1 kilometer. I flew 379 and 0.3, I don't know. But I mean, when I landed, like the whole village came to me, like really, there was like 50 people around me. They were so excited and happy, and they were helping me to carry my stuff. Like in 1 minute, my stuff were like all gone.
Yeah.
Let's pack it here in my home. And you want water, you want coffee, you want to take a shower, you want food. What do you want? I was, oh my God.
Oh, they're so nice. The people are so nice in the Sertao. It's amazing.
That I was kind of frustrated because of the flight. But when after this, all good people came and they were like so good and nice that like the frustration of the flight just disappeared, I was like really grateful just for being there.
Yeah, that's it. And a special day. So it was almost an 11-hour flight?
Yes, 10 hours and 40. Yeah, it was not a very good day. I mean, the wind was not too strong,
Yeah, sure. And so you, and that was from Patu, or that was a tow?
Yeah, that was from Patu.
Okay. And then when did you decide to start towing? Because they've been doing this towing out of Keiko that's been unbelievable the last couple of years. The whole Swiss team and stuff, and they're just getting these huge flights. So is that why you guys switched, to just make it easier to get up?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to try the tow because, of course, it's easier. I mean, it's much easier.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, it's like it should be separated, the records.
Sure, absolutely.
Because it's completely different. Like with the tow, you don't have like the pressure to go to the takeoff, and you go to the takeoff and like the wind's blowing and the trees are like, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna fly.
Yeah.
And it's like in the tow, it's like the wind's not even that strong because you are at the ground level.
Yeah, you don't have any compression.
Yes. And I mean, there are no lee sides, so you can fly backwards, no problem, because it's all flat. So, and we went to Açu. It's the name of the city in Rio Grande do Norte. And I like it there because the beginning of it, there were many options of landing, and so it would make you like feel more secure. Like even if you are flying backwards, there are many landing zones. So I really like the tow because of that, so you don't have to face it, the lee side and really strong winds and the takeoff, because it's really easy to take off. I mean, we even would do like reverse launch because we were so used to do it, and the wind was not so strong, so we just put the wing on our head and the tow just pushed you, and was just really smooth,
I've been watching some of the Swiss videos. They've been using the Cobra launch a lot, which I don't know why that never occurred to me. Like when I was in Australia, we would always just do a reverse, and then but it was often really windy. It seems like the Cobra is a really nice option.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice option. If the wing is too strong, I think it's a better option, right? Yeah. But as I told you, like when we were there, like there was not even one day that the wind was like crazy strong, So as we were more used to take off reverse, so we just did it. And
so are the guys, Samuel and Marcelo and Rafael, have they kind of given up then on Tacima, because Tacima is so hard to get going? Is it have they kind of, is the new thing really towing?
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to try the towing because everyone was doing it, and of course, I mean, they told me about Tacima. It's really, really long waits, and I think they didn't want to. They wanted to enjoy more the time that they were there, because they didn't have like 40 days to stay in the Sertao, you know. They stayed only 3 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was the first year trying it, and we like it. I mean, but I agree, and I think they think the same way about, like, it should be separate, the records, because it's so different.
Foot launching is just way more sexy. It just is, you know. I mean, in Texas you've got a toe, and Australia you've got a toe, and there should totally be a different, just different classification. It's just it's a different sport.
Yeah, because I mean, you have an engine put you up, right?
Yeah,
you are not going up only, I know, by yourself. So I think it's different, but it's a good thing. I mean, towing, because it's safer. So I think everyone should do it because it's safer. No one wants to take risks if you can choose not to take them, right?
Yeah. Sure. Okay, well, being mindful of your time, let's hear about the big flight. So how'd it go down? Because the report I read from you made it sound like it was pretty tough day. Blew, not super windy, but it sounded like kind of a tough day.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that day, in the beginning, the wind was a bit strong, but it was blue, no clouds at all. And so the beginning, I was the last to be towing. So Rafael and Samuca were the first, and then Frankie and Marcelo, and then me. So I was by myself, like the beginning of the flight. So I had to take risks, like to go really low to try to catch up with the guys, because otherwise I would be left behind, you know. So the beginning of the flight, I was like really low, and I was like thinking I was going to land, but I said, no, I need to go. So I was like in little bubbles. I was like just turning and going with the wind and not wasting any time, you know. And I was able to catch with Frankie and Cecile. So I was flying with both of them, and it was much easier than flying alone, right? And then I think it was already 10 a.m. or so, we met with the other guys, with Rafael and Samuca, because they like slow it down so we could catch up with them. So we were like, at one point we were all together, and there was also another pilot, Sebastien Ospina, you know?
Yeah.
He was also with us. Yeah. And it was very turbulent. Like, I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. I was just worried about leaving the wing above my head.
Just keep it together.
Yeah, I was like, at one point I was trembling with the guys, and I was telling them, I was, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. It's too turbulent. And then Samuca, he was really nice, and he said, think it's only a phase. We are going to pass this, you know. Think like later on, you know, don't pay attention now. Don't be like hook up on this, like, said, okay, I'll try to not focus on that. And we went flying, and then in Quixadá, it was around midday, I guess. The wind got lower, but we had some clouds, so it was good, but it was turbulent. And at this time, it was me, Rafael, and Samuca, Frankie, and Cecel, and Sebastien Ospina. They were in the front of us, like, I don't know how many kilometers, but they were faster. And the guy were trying to help me and they fly with me. And
what had you guys discussed? I mean, I know those guys at this point for sure. They know that they're not on world. They're not going to break the world record. They really watch that stuff. So at this point, or was the mission really like, hey, let's break the women's record. Let's help Marcella break the world's record. Or are you guys just having fun to fly?
Yes, it's like, we made a deal, like, if it was not possible for them to make the world record, they would help me out to break the female record.
Awesome.
So they were like really, really good friends and really helped me. I mean, I can't thank them enough, not only because of the flight, but I mean, everything that I learned from them and flying with them, which I watched the movie Sequels,
Yeah.
Like so many times. Like I would even know the lines. So
it's your Titanic.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not kidding. I used to know the lines. And for me, flying with them in the Sertao, only being there and flying with them, it was like a dream for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm here with these pilots flying here. It's just a dream. But back on the flight. So near Quixadá, we had some clouds. So it was quite kind of good. But it was a special difficult day for me because I felt I wasn't flying good that day, when you have some good days and bad days, and there's some days that you don't climb well, So I think that was one of my days. I wasn't climbing so well, so it didn't keep distracting me, Like I was like, oh my God, I'm not flying well. I was like trying to punish me,
Yeah.
But then I was able to eat only after 2 p.m., I guess. Because of all the turbulence, yeah. So after Quixeramobim, after Quixadá, there's Quixeramobim.
Yeah.
And it was blue again. And it was like there was inversion. You could see the thick layer, like milk layer,
Yeah.
And so we thought that the flight was kind of over because it got like super weak. The thermals are weak and it was bad and it was really difficult. And like, out of nowhere, we were like the three of us were very low, and out of nowhere we hit a thermal like on the lee side of a little hill of 80 meters per second. So we climbed it like papers. We were like, oh my God! So we were super happy.
Three pieces of confetti in the wind.
Yes, exactly. So we were back in the game. So, and after that, I did the declared record of 377. This time I declared 377. But in order to make it, I had to go a little bit to the left than our route. So I went by myself, and they stayed on our roof. So I did the waypoint, the 377, and I was so happy. Like I was celebrating already, because it's a world record. And the guys and Rafael goes like, swallow that celebration. we need to focus on the 400. So forget about this and focus on the flight,
And so I said, okay. So you guys are still in radio contact. They've stayed with the obvious line. You've gone over to hit your declared goal, and then you say, "Screw it, I'm going to keep going."
No, because when I hit it, the declared goal, I was so happy that I was telling in the radio, "Oh, okay, we did it," and they were like, "No, we didn't do it. We need to focus on the world record." I said, yeah, you are right, because I was getting too excited and not concentrating on the flight anymore, So I forget about the 377. I said, okay, let's do this. We still can make it, because it was really a week. After the 8 meters per second, we didn't get anything strong anymore. So, and I was able to go with them again. So we were like the three together, but I was lower because I went to the left and then I come back. And then we were like the whole end of the flight, like going like every little bubble and being really, really patient to climb any meter we could climb, And we were very patient because it was very weak. And so it was like 10 kilometers to 402. So I was in 392. I was 1,000 meters from the ground. So technically, theoretically, I would know that I had the record, right?
Yeah, sure.
And the guys were like almost celebrating. And that time I was the one that said, no, we didn't do it.
Yeah. Hold it together, guys. Hold it together. Let's get this.
Yeah, I'm only going to believe it when I see the 402 in my GPS, 403, because I need to fly 1 kilometer further, right? So I wasn't even breathing, like this last 10 case. I didn't even breathe, so I didn't lose gliding. Sorry. So I was, I was like really excited, but I didn't let myself to be excited. So I wasn't breathing. And when I saw like 403 in the GPS, I just like freak out, Then I was crying like a baby. Oh my God, we did it. Like I said so many bad words in the radio, like like this was like the explosion, like the moment of like I finally achieved my goal, like after 2 years trying and like wanting and dreaming about it. And like the moment was unforgettable, I'll always remember that moment. And we were still high. I mean, we managed to flew more 7 kilometers. So the total was 410 and 700 meters, almost 411. So the glide ratio was really good because it was almost 20 to 1, right? In the end of the day, it's very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's special hour, right? So
go ahead.
So we landed together, me, Rafael, and Samuka. And I mean, it was really amazing. I think it's the happiest day of my life for sure. It's really good when you plan a lot and I finally achieve it.
Did anything change for you after that, in terms of like sponsorship or ability to fly more? Was there much of a shift in what you're able to do?
Yeah, I think for sure the record helped me a lot. Like it put my name in the world. And I got sponsors after that. Now I have 3 sponsors. I mean, nothing like really big, but with these sponsors, I have the opportunity to only fly now. So now I'm only flying and dedicating to competitions and going this year again to Sertao. And my sponsor, one of them is Spot, Yep. The other one is Nafter.
Yep.
And the like my city, the government of my city, my hometown. So it's a good thing. So now I can dedicate myself one more year and let's see what results I can get it.
What are some concrete things you learned from the boys? When you went back and you're able to hang out with, truly the best of the best. What are some of the mental things? Maybe some of the technical things? And then was there any? I'm asking too many questions here. I'll leave it at that. Just what are some of the things that the takeaways that you learned in 2018 that kind of are different from what you learned in 2017 when you were doing it on your own?
Well, the main thing I think it's to flying as a team. It's not, we think it's an easy thing to do, but it's not. It's hard to fly all together. And I really appreciate it that they teach me how to do it. And of course, I learned a lot about techniques and I don't know about the drift of the thermals in Sertao and many things, little things that helped me a lot, like constructing overall concept. And also, I think one of the most important things was the mindset. Like Rafael always told me and taught me to, because in Sertao you have many frustrations, right? So you have to deal with them. Like if you be like, how can I say? If you let you down, like the frustrations, if you let them to get you down, you are not go anywhere, You have to learn with them and see what you did wrong in that day and try to make it better in the next day, If you are hang on that, oh, I did it that wrong and I'm never going to do it and it's too hard. And I mean, you get like super frustrated and you don't even like enjoying the flight anymore, Like there was one flight after the guys, it was before my record. But the guys landed early, Rafael, Frankie, and Cecel. And it was only me and Samuka, but Samuka was like 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers in front of me. So I was flying by myself this whole flight. But it was really good day. Like it was an epic day. It was really, really good. Like clouds since the beginning and really good. And when it was 1 p.m., 1:30, the clouds disappeared, was just all blue after Quixeramobim. And I didn't have the feeling to notice and be like, oh my God, now I need to hold back,
You cannot switch gears.
Yeah. So I was like from 200 meters from the ground to the ground. Like, I got like a sync of 8 meters per second or 9. It was crazy. And I was like going to the other side and fully speeding and nothing worked. So I landed at 1:30 p.m. with 313 kilometers. 1:30. I was like, oh my God,
day.
no.
Wow.
Like I had the pace to do 500.
Yeah,
Sure. And that day, Samuka did 495, I guess.
Ugh.
So
yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, it was really, really, really frustrating. And I mean, I landed in a bad place. I was like in the hot, like for hours. And then when I got the rescue, the retrieve, we went to get Samuka. So I went to the other side of the world, just watching the clouds. Because after Quixeramobim, the end of the day, there were clouds again. So it was like just little.
You just had to survive for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah, you blew it.
So
yeah,
I blew it. So I mean, it was good to learn, So
sure.
That's what I mean. You have to learn with these frustrations and see what you did wrong and make it better in the next day,
A 411 is a massive flight, but in the Sertao, it's pretty common. There's a lot of those. So are you feeling a lot of pressure? Like, you know that's going to get beaten by, another girl who's chasing it really hard. So I guess you got to go back there pretty soon and defend it. But is there pressure?
I think, I don't know. I guess that's not going to be that much pressure this year because, I mean, the record's mine. So, because last year I was like really pressured because I it was my second year. So I was thinking like, I need to do it,
Mm-hmm.
So I think this year will be more like relaxed because I will think like it's already mine. So I will do my best, of course, but and I think it's not a good one for 111. I mean, it's amazing, but I want more. I want way more.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm preparing a lot to it, and for sure I'll be there. Like in the beginning of the season, the first day I'm there.
We haven't had a lot of women on the podcast. And when we do, I always try to kind of dig into the whole women, men thing, because I still find I don't know that we've ever really gotten a great answer on why there's so few women and in the sport. And so the gal that recommended I get you on the show, she thought you might have some pretty interesting perspectives about that. And maybe, like even after the record, wasn't there was some kind of awkwardness, right? With the guys or something?
There were some people talking about that I only did the flight because I was flying with the guys.
Oh.
And like they didn't say this about the guys when they did the flight together,
Okay.
So
yeah, that's
we felt like it was just because I'm a girl,
Right.
So it's like, oh, she only did it because she was with the guys,
Right.
But I mean, I was piloting my glider, I was the one like 10 hours under it and like really turbulent because the day of the record was crazy turbulent. So it was not easy at all to do it. But I mean, it didn't bother me because we hear lots kinds of stuff. So why are so few girls flying? I don't know, but I feel like sometimes maybe it's because there's so many guys and you are like in a surrounded by guys. And sometimes the girls have boyfriends or their father that don't like that they're surrounded by guys. So I hear that a lot, like, oh, my boyfriend doesn't like me to fly with the guys, and I have to fly with him only,
Right.
And I think I never had, I didn't have that, so I always fly with everyone, enjoy with everyone. So I don't know. I think maybe it's still kind of a sexist environment.
It's a sexist environment. Yeah, I mean, totally.
Yeah, because there's
for sure.
Because there's so many guys, and it's like when you are good as them, they're like, oh my God, if she's doing, anyone can do it.
That's not fair, but you're right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So it's like the guys in these nationals, there were so many Enzos flying, and the guys were joking with me that was like a Marcella effect, because since I started flying CCC wing, the guys were like encouraged to change as well, The guys were like,
Marcella effect. I love it.
Sounds
like a movie.
If she handle Enzo, we can do it too,
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's great. Yeah. I think a lot of times that, like the sexism that happens on launch and just that whole, I don't know, just guys testosterone thing. I'm not letting anybody off the hook here, but I think a lot of it is just that, the numbers are so skewed that I often don't think it's like conscious sexism or I think it's just something that, like I was just out in this community flying training for the last month out in Santa Barbara in California, and there's a lot of women pilots. They've really got, they're really encouraging it, and it's, it's awesome, right? And they're good, and a lot of them are really good. And but there's this, like when visiting pilots come and they're not used to it, they don't see it, they'll be like, "Oh, are you here to drive the van down?" and they call it out. They've got this like they all use Telegram there. It's like WhatsApp, and they call it out on that in a really nice way. Like, hey guys, just remember, that if you see a girl on launch or in the van, that's not the question to ask them. Let's not assume anything about anybody. And it's it's almost kind of like, God, yeah, you need kind of that just easy reminder, but it is weird. It is weird that that's where men's brains go. It's kind of funny, but
I think it's not conscious as well.
It's what?
It's not, it's unconscious, like they do it without noticing.
I think so too. I'm not trying to let them off the hook. It's just, I think a lot of it's just, we just don't see, we don't see many women in the sport. And so, there are places certainly like Annecy where there are more, but still it's like, it's still a fraction, and so, was there any kind of let down, I guess, afterwards, when we chase these things so hard and we dedicate to it and then you get it. And then was there any kind of like, oh, well, what's next? Because it's the obvious thing is just, to go bigger, but I don't know. It feels kind of fleeting, doesn't it?
Yeah. I thought that would be the case, but it wasn't, because when I did it, I was so happy. And like I told you, it was like the happiest day of my life. But I still wanted more. I really wanted more. Like the guys left, like, because my flight was like 2 or 3 days before we were leaving. And so the guys left, but I stayed another week trying to beat the record, because it was not enough for me. The guys told, you should go home, you shouldn't fly by yourself here. No. I said, no, I don't want to go home, I want to fly more, But I was so tired, because it was like 1 month in this routine every day, and waking up early and go to the takeoff and check the pace. If it's not good, land, come back, and And there, I came to a point that I actually slept while flying.
that sounds like the X Alps to me.
My God.
Yeah, we always get little cat naps in that race where you're just like, whoa, I just fell asleep. Wake up, man, wake up.
Yeah, it's crazy. First time that happened to me, it was like 7 a.m. and it was really smooth, like no turbulence at all. And I was gliding from one cloud to another. So in this gliding, I slept, And then when I wake up, I was, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't fly anymore, So that's when I realized, okay, I did what I had to do. So it's time to go back home and wait for next year and to be bigger and better.
Is this now really your life? Are you still practicing marine biology? Are you still, or is this your job?
No, like now that I have these sponsors, I'm only flying. I gave up of marine biology.
Wow. And do you see that? Is there any kind of plan right now or is it just more kind of freewheeling, just see how it goes?
I kind of have like the whole year planned already.
No, I'm talking longer term. I mean, like, are you, are you hoping to make paragliding kind of your living for the foreseeable future, or is this just a temporary stop in the road of life and back to marine biology?
No, I hope that I can make a living out of paragliding. I mean, even if it is like doing tandem flights, I don't know. I mean, I really love flying. And I don't know, maybe one day I can go back to marine biology because I also love sharks and I miss them so much. But I guess here in Brazil, the only option that I would have with marine biology would be to start a PhD. And a PhD would be like the dedication would be like exclusively almost, so my flying would be compromised. So I don't want to do that now. So I'm trying to do my best and see if I can do it. I can make a living with paragliding. And if I came to a point that I see that there's no way to keep going, come back to marine biology or do something else. Let's see.
I was at a comp in Macedonia last year where a very good friend of mine came up and said, I worry that you want it too much, and it hit me in an interesting way. I think often we fly our best and we crunch the kilometers the best when we're really relaxed and just almost like in a different zone, especially at the comps. Like if you really want to win and you're really training hard, you don't fly very well. I mean, at least a lot of people on the show have said that, and I know I'm like that. When I had my record here, you're the same. Yeah, I mean, when I had my record here, the day before had been my personal best. And I'd slept like 3 hours, cause I got home super late. It was a long, long retrieve. And, and my buddy called from the top of the mountain and said, hey, I think today's even better. I was going home to go to bed and I went and got a bottle of oxygen and cause we fly really, really high here. And I raced up the hill and I was, like an hour off the back and it happened. It was a really windy day and it was a really kind of on the edge, actually quite scary day. But, I think in any normal circumstances, I would have it was a scary day. I probably I should have landed, but the reason it went so well is because I was so tired and I was so relaxed. I was getting these huge blowouts because it was incredibly rough that day and I just didn't care. I was, my heart rate didn't even go up. I don't think I was just kind of like in that zone where you're like super calm about everything. And I think normally if I'd been in my normal headspace, I never would have pulled it off. And I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a danger of making it like so serious about it rather than so relaxed about it. I mean, I'm convinced that's why Kriegel is so dominant in the X Alps, is because he's so much more relaxed when he's doing it than the rest of us. You know, he knows he has those moves. He knows what he can do. He knows what he's capable of, but he's also just very calm.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, not only for the cross-country flights, but also in competitions. But like the first year in Sertao, I was so into numbers because, I mean, I wanted to beat the record. So I was looking at the distance from takeoff, like from minute to minute, you know? It was too much. So, and as my goal was only to fly the whole day, I removed the distance from takeoff from my GPS. So I couldn't see it, you know, because I was too much.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I was too much into it, you know, and I was like, my goal is not about the numbers. My goal is to fly the whole day. So I'm going to remove it and I'm going to enjoy it because I like to fly. So I will enjoy the flying and not worry about how many kilometers I flew, you know. So it was the day that I did, the day that I flew the whole day and did the Brazilian female record. So
I think that's a very small shift. That's a big difference, isn't it? I like that.
Big difference, great. Yeah. And I think also in competitions, when I'm the most relaxed, when I'm not caring about it, it's when I'm good at. When I'm too worried and wanting to win, I do something that it's gonna get me lower. I'm not gonna climb well, and it's crazy.
Marcella, that's a great place to end, not only because that's a nice ending, but also because my little one just woke up and it's about to get really loud here. You can probably hear her in the background. She gets pretty excited in the morning. So what a pleasure. It was really nice to hear your story. I wish you the best of luck. It's amazing to be able to make a life out of paragliding. So what a gift. I can tell you're very excited about it, and that's terrific. So keep charging. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you and I actually meet flying someday. I'm sure we will. It's a small little world.
Yeah, thank you, Gavin, for everything. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. It was a great pleasure to meet you, and I also hope that we can fly one day together.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck, and we'll talk soon. I hope you enjoyed that. Always fun to sit down with these great pilots in different parts of the world. Super inspiring. As always, all we ask for is $1 a show. If you're getting something out of the Cloud-Based Mayhem, there are many ways you can support it, either financially, through PayPal, and soon to be just directly through our website. We'll have details of that up pretty soon. But if you can't support us financially, we totally understand. This will remain free as long as we can do it. But you can support it in many other ways. You can give us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher or however you listen to your podcast. That really goes a long ways. You can blog about it on your own blog. You can post about it on social media, share it with your friends, talk about it on the way to launch. I know many of you are doing that. I really appreciate it. And another way you can support us is through our store. We've just got a whole new load of awesome Patagonia t-shirts for men and women, and a whole new box of super stylish trucker hats by Recaps. Each one is totally unique. Got a whole bunch more colors that seem to be more in favor. So go to cloudbasedmayhem.com, click on the store link, and get some cool swag. That's another great way to support the show. But yeah, get behind us. We're doing this directly just through you instead of sponsors, because I just can't stand having that whole sponsor thing at the top of the show. And I want you to know that it's an authentic conversation. It's just opinions, and they're not being skewed by advertising dollars, which I think is a pretty toxic thing that's going on right now globally with all the stuff going on with Facebook and others. So anyway, we'd like to do it direct. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.